The Trillionaire Illusion: How Ego and Vanity Projects Could Bankrupt Clive Palmer. Clive Palmer is undoubtedly one of Australia's most polarizing, eccentric, and flamboyant figures. To understand him is to look at a man whose immense wealth has created a reality distortion field around him. While your prompt mentions a net worth of $550 million, it is worth noting that his wealth is highly volatile. During the peak of the iron ore boom, Forbes estimated his net worth at around $2.2 billion AUD, and recent legal disputes over iron ore royalties have seen his estimated wealth fluctuate wildly between hundreds of millions and several billion dollars.
Here is a breakdown of the man, the dinosaur obsession, the scandals, and a realistic look at his financial trajectory. 1. The dinosaur obsession. Clive Palmer's love for dinosaurs is the most visible symbol of his eccentricity. He doesn't just like them, he wants to own them and bring them to life, or at least a robotic version of them. The Dinosaur Park. At his Palmer Coolum Resort in Queensland, he installed over 160 animatronic dinosaurs. The crown jewel was a 20-meter-long, 8-meter-tall Tyrannosaurus Rex named Jeff. Jurassic-style ambitions. Palmer famously announced plans to clone a dinosaur using DNA, similar to the plot of Jurassic Park, though this was widely dismissed by scientists as impossible. The Titanic II. While not a dinosaur, his obsession with resurrecting the past extends to his notorious plan to build a modern, exact replica of the doomed RMS Titanic. Announced in 2012, the project has been repeatedly delayed, with many critics claiming it was a publicity stunt rather than a genuine maritime venture. His business and country, political impact. Palmer made his fortune in real estate and mining. His company, Mineralogy, owned massive iron ore deposits in Western Australia, which he licensed to Chinese conglomerate CITIC. However, Palmer wanted more than money. He wanted to run the country. He founded the United Australia Party, UAP, and poured hundreds of millions of dollars of his own money into election campaigns. He famously saturated Australian television and social media with bizarre, low-budget ads, often just featuring him speaking directly to the camera with dramatic music. While he briefly held a seat in Parliament and wielded influence in the Senate, his political career has largely been defined by spending vast fortunes to win very few votes. The Queensland nickel collapse. In 2016, his nickel refinery collapsed, leaving 800 workers jobless and owing them $70 million in entitlements. Workers were left in financial ruin, while Palmer claimed he had no legal obligation to pay them, blaming the Chinese company CITIC. The government ultimately had to step in to pay the workers. The COVID lockdown lawsuits. During the pandemic, Palmer sued the state of Western Australia over its hard border closure, arguing it violated the Constitution. He lost the case spectacularly in the High Court of Australia. The defamation loss. In 2021, Palmer sued another billionaire, Richard Wagner, for defamation and lost. The judge ordered Palmer to pay $1.5 million in damages, plus an estimated $6 million in legal costs. The hydroxychloroquine crusade. He spent millions importing the anti-malarial drug hydroxychloroquine into Australia during the pandemic, claiming it was a cure for COVID-19, a claim rejected by global medical authorities. Currently, the only people on Earth approaching trillionaire status are tech monopolists like Elon Musk, Bernard Arnault, or Jeff Bezos, whose companies have global, daily recurring digital or retail monopolies. Palmer's wealth is tied to finite physical assets, iron ore in the ground, and royalties. Unless an asteroid made of pure platinum crashes exclusively onto his property, he will never be a trillionaire. How he could lose everything and become a common middleman. While going from a billionaire to a common middle-class man is extremely rare, Palmer is doing exactly the things that cause billionaires to go bankrupt. If he doesn't take care, his financial ruin could come from three main avenues. The CITIC legal war. Palmer is currently embroiled in a massive, decade-long legal battle with the Chinese state-owned CITIC over royalties. If CITIC wins the legal war, Palmer could be forced to pay back hundreds of millions of dollars in back royalties, potentially bankrupting his flagship company, Mineralogy. Frivolous vanity spending. Building replica Titanics, funding national political campaigns that yield zero return on investment, and buying robot dinosaurs are massive cash sinks. If his mining revenues drop due to commodity price crashes, and he continues spending on vanity projects, his liquidity will dry up rapidly. Ego-driven lawsuits. Palmer loves suing people, and he frequently loses. The Wagner defamation case cost him millions. Palmer is a textbook example of how virtually unlimited wealth detaches a person from reality. When you have enough money to buy politicians, build a dinosaur park, and sue entire state governments on a whim, you stop hearing the word no. If he does eventually fall, it won't be because the market crashed. It will be because his ego wrote checks his assets couldn't cash. He would rather spend his fortune fighting the world in court than admit defeat, which is the fastest way for a man with dinosaur money to end up extinct.